Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Digital Novel Coronavirus Investment Forum and the China Innovation Panel. We have a great group of panelists to talk about China innovation today. And we'll have them go through self-introductions here in just a minute. But to tell you a little bit about what's going on in China, as you may know, over the last 5 to 10 years, China has been transitioning from a Me Too and Me Better drug development environment to true novel drug development. And they now have drugs from China on the global market, as well as totally novel drugs on the market in China as well. There's significant support for novel drug development in China from the government, from global industry, as well as venture capital and other sources of funding to really support this effort to develop novel drugs. And we're going to explore that further today. With the advent of COVID-19, China's investment community and drug development companies have moved very quickly to address what has now become the world's greatest unmet medical need, developing therapeutics and vaccines to meet the need for COVID-19. So this panel will discuss the overall situation in terms of innovation in China, as well as a special focus on how companies and investors have responded to COVID-19. So our panelists today, I'll just introduce them quickly, and then we'll do some self-introductions here. Jiang is the founder and CEO of YAFO Capital, based in Shanghai. Yuwen Liu is the founding partner of BOHE Angel Fund, based in Suzhou. Dr. Dongxu is co-founder and executive director of CanSino Biologics, which is developing a vaccine for COVID-19. And Dr. Weiyi Zhang is the head of External Innovation Hub in China for Boehringer Ingelheim. And Dr. PC Zhu is the CEO and founder of ATLATL, an incubator focused on novel drug development in Shanghai. So you can see we've got a great group of people from big pharma, from investors, innovative companies, and cross-border transaction companies. So we'll be able to get a broad range of perspectives today. So why don't we start with our self-introductions and just kind of going in alphabetical order. We'll start with you, Sean.
Hello. Hi, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here at the SEX conference. The last time I was at the panel in September in Basel, in Switzerland for the SEX conference. So brief introduction about myself and YAFO. So YAFO Capital is a life science oriented transaction investment bank and also investment firm. We're very focused on global medtech and pharmaceutical technologies that's related to China. So we have represented many global biopharma companies and in their closing of licensing deals and fundraising deals in China. It's been a pleasure here today with everyone.
Great, thanks, Sean. Yuwen?
Hello, everyone. This is Yuwen Liu, founding partner of BOHE Angel Fund. You can tell from the name of our fund, we put angel in our full name, which states like we would like to be the first institutional investor of a startup company. So our main focus is for sure it's life science, and 2/3 of our portfolio are in drug discovery, 1/3 are diagnostic and devices sectors. So far with our 500 million RMB in management, we have invested into 25 companies, spanning from locations from like Beijing, Shanghai, Suzhou, Hangzhou, Shenzhen, and all of the places. So we work closely with Chinese universities and research institute, trying to help them to incubate and help help to the technology transition into products and hopefully to meet the unmet medical needs. It's always a pleasure and very great fun to be part of the SEX panel, and especially meeting old friends here all the time. Thank you. Back to Greg.
Yeah, thanks, Yuwen. And if you don't know, Yuwen is also famous for founding and creating the number one Center for Life Sciences in China, Suzhou BioBay. So welcome, Yuwen. So, and speaking of Suzhou, we also have Dr. Dongxu from Suzhou. Don?
Yeah, hello everyone. This is Dongxu. I'm the co-founder of CanSino Biologics. I'm mostly responsible.
Uh-oh. Did we lose Don's network? Okay,
yeah,
let's come back to Don in just a moment when he reconnects. So, Weiyi.
Yeah, hi everyone. My name is Weiyi. I'm currently the head of External Innovation Hub in China for Boehringer Ingelheim. And as you know, Boehringer Ingelheim is more than 100 old multinational pharmaceutical company. Recently, we have opened a China External Innovation Hub to fully support the China-originated innovation. So in the hub, there are 3 different functions. One is called Research Beyond Borders, which support the academic collaborations mainly to support emerging science and cutting-edge technologies. And we also have BD&L, looking for innovative assets to fill in BI's innovative pipeline. And also we have recently started our corporate venture activities in China to start to invest into early innovative biotech, especially the academic spin-outs. And looking forward to the discussion. Thank you.
Thanks, Weiyi. And Weiyi and PC are actually in the same location where actually our offices, ChinaBio's offices, are located at LATA. So PC.
Thank you. My name is PC Zhu. I started at ATLATL Innovation Center in Shanghai, China. ATLATL Innovation Center is not a traditional incubator. Instead, it's kind of institutes focused on innovation. We not only provide space, but whole solutions for innovators and investors. By partnership with Boehringer Ingelheim and VC companies or big instrument company like McKinsey, Danaher, we build up this kind of ecosystem to serve scientists. So we are more like institutes of multinationals, and the companies are more like a research group of big pharmaceutical research center. For them, they can do their research faster, and they can save the costs, and they can save more time, and they can reach the milestone very much fast. Before I moved back to China, I was in Boston in Kendall Square. I built mass innovation labs, which was one of the largest Class A level research space global-wide. We supported CRISPR, Adidas, C4, Greenstone, all these kind of companies. In China, we support companies. We support lots of global leading innovative companies, such as Hi-Fi and Junshi and Mapwell as well. I'm so happy to see such kind of companies provide solutions for human during the challenge area, stage. So this is about me. Hopefully, our company can serve the scientists all around the world by using our cloud biolab. Thank you.
Thanks, PC. And as I mentioned, we're also located. ChinaBio is also located in PC's facility at ATLATA. and it's a beautiful facility there. Don, you're back on, I think. So do you want to give your introduction?
Yeah, I'm okay now.
Yes, you're good.
Okay, this is the Dongxu Qiu. As I said, I'm a co-founder of CanSino Biologics. I'm mostly responsible for the fundraising and business development. So CanSino started 2009. So we go through like one round of angel, 2 rounds of venture capital, 1 round PE, and we listed in Hong Kong 2019. So far, we have raised roughly $300 million US. We are in the process to list in the Star Board in Shanghai, so should be very soon. Yeah.
Great. Yeah, and I always kind of forget to introduce myself, so I guess I should take a minute to do that. I'm Greg Scott. I'm the founder and CEO of ChinaBio. We're a consulting and advisory organization based in Shanghai. I founded the company in 2007, so about 13 years ago. And we've done we work with a number of the large pharmaceutical companies as well as medical device companies and small and mid-sized companies looking to do something in China. I'm also co-founder of Bio-Pacific Investors, and Life Science Angels, which are angel investment funds focused on novel life science development. So Yuwen, you're back. Welcome. So for my first question, Don, I'm actually going to target you because I think your background here among the panelists is unique, having been a co-founder of a company actually developing a vaccine for COVID-19. And I know that you did something similar for Ebola. You were one of the first companies to have a vaccine for Ebola, and you've spent time in Africa working on that. Now, CanSino has, I believe, a phase 3 vaccine for COVID, I think the first one in China. So I'd like to hear a little bit more about that. But my specific question is, what has enabled you to really move so quickly in China to develop a novel vaccine? And is that a result of the support that you've been getting in China and the ecosystem there, or is it CanSino itself, or some combination?
Our product, COVID-19 vaccine, is adeno5 vectors based. Currently, we finished the phase 1, phase 2, and we are in the process to start phase 3. The reason for us, for China, to start this trial so fast, I think most of the reason is because the pandemic, the result means that, during this process, we have done something is really special. It's not a routine process. Normally, for the brand new vaccines, it need at least 10 years to get product approved. But this time, from government point of view and from company point of view, everybody have took a lot of risk. What that means, we have done several process simultaneously. Before, you have to do it one by one. For example, you have to do this small scale process development, and you do the seed bank. So seed bank had to prove first. You had to test the government lab, and government proved it. You can go to next step. You do the engineer run, and you do the talks. After talks, it's okay. You can start like another 3 round of process, and then you can apply for INDs. These times, we basically have done all this process simultaneously. So company have taken a lot of risk. Government also, CDE also give a lot of special treatment. So this time, CDE basically asked company to give result almost daily. We call the rolling approval. So that means they want to know result almost every day. And then according to your results, they approve you for start clinical trial. Actually, we do a lot of works. We do animal study, like efficacy studies. We do tox studies. We do the challenge studies. We used mice, we used rat, we used ferret, we used two kinds of monkeys. We got a lot of results before we start phase 1. So phase 1 result is pretty good, and after 14 days phase 1, we start phase 2. So that's the, I think, main reason. Yeah.
I think that's a record.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. Other things actually, why we start so fast, because we have all this technology or process development, because we use almost exactly the same process for the Ebola vaccines. If you just start from beginning, you can't do so fast. You have to have a lot of technology storage. Like, I think same for the we call the inactive vaccines from CNBG and also Sinovac. They actually do similar vaccines for the for the SARS. Especially Sinovac, I think they finished phase 1, but because after phase 1, the SARS just disappeared totally, so they didn't continue.
Okay, interesting. So you're able to build on that. So, so Yuwen, I'm going to turn to you now, because I think that your background and experience, both in building a life science center, a major hub in China, as well as from the investment perspective, may relate to sort of my question I asked Don in terms of the environment for innovative development in China, both generally and for COVID-19, and what you've seen in terms of what's going on, and have you changed your investment focus as a result of COVID-19? You're still investing in the same types of companies, and what are your companies doing for COVID-19?
Thank you, Greg. First of all, in general, we all see the overall China market, or the industry, we call it, the life science industry, has been in a dynamic period, and the momentum will continue to grow, I think, at least another 15, 20 years. And we are right in the right place and the right time. And having said that, still we have a big challenge of they are not enough solid science to support, and it's yet to come. That's the first thing. And the second is the science to technology to product incubation or transition is still it is not yet very smooth. We can even use broken to name it, but it is also improving dramatically with the help of the people like us, including like Weiyi, Greg, and also PC like us. So it is going on well, and BOHE, because we are doing only the early stage, so we are very focused on this sector. So what we observe is, first, in general, like more and more people start to look into the early, really the early technology, instead of a few years ago only in phase 2 assets. And the second is there are many more diversified, I call it, approach are coming up, like Weiyi will mention about the her model, and we have our model of combining incubation center of and together with this BOHE angel fund, and there are some universities are setting up the incubators, like so on and so forth. So it is happening, and we want to be part of it. And about the COVID-19, it's significantly impact the communication. So there is no more face-to-face meetings, and which we call it the deal source has been hugely impacted. We do find that there are less deals coming. Have been met in the first half of the year, but still, if we're talking about the closing the deal, it's not being impacted. And actually, in other way, actually it has been even accelerated because we are so focused. We don't spend time of chatting or on the road. And there is another point I want to mention about some shifting, especially related to the COVID-19, is the interest. Everybody noticed that the repetition of the targets, like so many people are doing almost the same targets, and it's highly focused on oncology. Because of the COVID-19, people still start to realize that there are some really, we always say that we want to focus on medical needs, but having said that, still looking into the investment return cycle, especially like quick return, like lower risk. But now with the COVID-19 happening, people realize that, okay, there are some unmet medical needs. If you do have a solid accumulation of technology or platform, then one day there is opportunity you can grasp. So we see lots of the startup company this time grasp this opportunity of offering sequencing, diagnostic, and also neutralizing antibody and also small molecule. So and investors are very also keen on investing into that because nobody wants to miss this opportunity. So we do see more diversification of the area of investment or startup companies' interests. So yeah, I stop here.
Okay, all right, very interesting. So in your portfolio, do you have like say one or two examples of companies that are specifically focused on developing something for COVID-19? And if so, what are they doing?
Actually, to be honest, there is no company in our portfolio has taken advantage of this because it's really, really early stage. They have limited resources. They decided to stay focused on what they are good at, and they are already trying to get all the resources to accelerate the R&D, especially because of COVID-19. Actually, the R&D work has been impact because of the delay or even impossible to get the reagents or animals or even instruments. So people are still working really hard try to catch up on that. So there is nobody being that optimistic. I know many companies are, and they have been quite successful, and they are happy, and I'm glad for them.
Okay, very good. So you answered kind of another question there. Companies are staying focused on their primary objective and continuing with that effort. Yeah, great. So Weiyi, I think that Yuwen sort of set the stage for you there. So we'll head over to you next. And obviously Boehringer Ingelheim is known as a major multinational company focused on novel drug development, but you're doing some very interesting things, I think, that are related but different from that there in Shanghai. And so I wanted to ask, why did Boehringer Ingelheim pick Shanghai and China, for that matter, to establish their innovation hub there? And you mentioned also you're doing an investment, and sort of a similar question to Yuan. Are there anything that your companies are doing that are specific to COVID-19 or related to COVID-19?
Yeah, okay, maybe I first answer why BI thinks China originated innovation is more and more important, because we do notice that the innovation ecosystem in China is very dynamic and also has very high potential, because we have realized two very obvious trends in the life science related research and also the China biotech. So first of all, we have seen a lot of high quality China-originated research has been published in the top journals. And also in some of the issues of the year, we could also see more than half of the high-level work has been produced from Chinese lab. So this has never happened like 5 years ago. And the second interesting stuff we have seen a lot more real innovative companies doing first-in-class drugs in China. And also among them, quite a number of them we have seen actually with academic background. So a lot of professors now they want to translate their own basic research into product, into a drug in their own startup companies. And of course, we wanted to help them in operation and also in translate those early ideas into product in a much faster way so that they could take more straightforward route. So this is also why we wanted to set up the hub in China so we could go through the academic collaboration to identify some high potential projects. And then once it gets matured, we could, of course, either to invest into the company as a seed investor. And on the other hand, we could also, if the project matures into assets, we could also through the BDNL to move the asset into BI portfolio through licensing deals. And if we come to the COVID-19, so actually during the Chinese New Year, I still remember it's Chinese New Year's Eve, in our China leadership team WeChat group, our CEO already said he decided to order 100,000 masks first to donate to Wuhan. I think around that time we got a lot of support from our headquarters. So from research side, actually in the middle of January, when we started to realize COVID-19 was a serious threat, I've already heard that my corporate colleagues already started to set up the project for COVID-19 neutralizing antibody. So now our BI own neutralizing antibody is under cell line development. So hopefully in the autumn, we could also put it into a clinical trial. And on the other hand, we have also looked into our clinical pipeline to see what would be the fastest way to help the patients suffering from the infection. So we were lucky to also identify a compound at the moment at clinical phase 2, meaning it is a very safe compound, which has a potential to reduce edema from the COVID-19 infected ARDS patients. We know ARDS is a very deadly syndrome. And of course, my colleagues in my team has rapidly identified a group in Beijing who has also helped us to test the efficacy of this clinical stage compound. And as of today, we have already completed the preclinical studies in non-human primate models, and we are doing the data analysis. So hopefully in a couple of weeks, we could also know the results of this potential, the potential of this clinical compound. So overall, I think as an external innovation hub or as our team.
Whoop, did we lose Weiyi? Okay, I think we did. Okay, hopefully they'll reconnect here shortly. While we're waiting for Weiyi and PC to rejoin, Sean, I wanted to go to you in any case. Yeah, I know that YAFO is based or very focused on the cross-border transactions in particular, and you do a lot of BD&L type work like Weiyi was talking about, helping people bring assets to China. And I wanted to ask what you had seen in that area. If you're still seeing the same level of activity, or is that kind of decreased because of COVID? And if you're seeing things specifically related to COVID that are being licensed into China, or is it like Yuwen was talking about, sort of companies are staying true to their focus, and you're seeing mostly probably oncology things coming in?
Thank you, Greg, for the question. I think overall, since the start of COVID-19, I think there are several phenomena that we have observed. I think very interesting to share with everyone. From one hand, I think the pandemic of COVID-19 really enhanced cross-border cooperations, including R&Ds and also clinical trials. And in the very beginning of COVID-19, back to February this year, where China was like the only place that has major problem. So we already started to work with a French company and to shape their the company states that their APIs can be effective in fighting against the virus. I mean, it was an HIV-related drug, but they think this can help. So we started to help them to ship their APIs to China for testing purpose. But unfortunately, I mean, clearing the customers and also, I mean, shipping the samples from Paris to Shanghai take forever. I mean, when the API arrives in China, in Shanghai, it was already very hard to find like viral samples from the government, and the government already started to allocate, the virus for different clinical trials. So unfortunately, we were unable to do the clinical trials in China for this client. But what we have seen is there's increasing cooperations between Chinese biotech companies and the Western biotech companies. And also we have clients that, we are helping them to set up, clinical trial and working with the CRO companies in Brazil for their, COVID-19 products. And secondly, I think, the COVID-19 really encouraged China-oriented innovation. I mean, in the past, it was, from cross-border transaction-wise, it was more or less like one-way deal flow where, majority of the deal is China licensing technologies from outside China, inward, licensing. But from, after, February, I think we've seen more and more Chinese companies began to, creatively thinking, okay, how their own products can relate it to COVID-19. So I think in my field, I mean, this is like, very few times that I have experienced that, Chinese pharmaceutical biotech companies began to very proactively thinking of, solutions for disease. So this is very, I think, positive things for China. And also we have many clients that they are, who are looking for global partnership for their products, and also for, either through licensing or through collaboration, R&D collaborations. So certainly from transaction perspective, I think this COVID-19 has really has huge impact, on the closing of deals for between China and outside the world. I mean, after all, nobody will feel very comfortable about closing a deal without visiting their office, meeting their management team face to face, and get a real feel, I mean, of each other. So actually this year, I think in January and early February, before the Chinese New Year, I think the deal flow, cross-border deal flow has been very strong. I was really surprised, and I was hoping that, okay, this year might be one of the best year or record year for cross-border life science transactions. But unfortunately, I mean, after the outbreak of the COVID-19 in February, I mean, things dramatically changed. We see very, very few transactions in the months afterwards, in March or in April. and I mean, we had 2 deals closing in April, but both of the deals, I mean, there's a team met last year or during JP Morgan. I mean, they already have experience as the process. But I mean, unfortunately, also one of the companies that we invested, I mean, they have signed the term sheet, but for fundraising, I mean, it's a major fundraising, $50 million US. But unfortunately, I mean, things were postponed, and now, I mean, some investors began to already withdraw from the deal. So there's lots of negative impact on the cross-border transactions. But fortunately, I think starting from May, June, and people began to realize that okay, this may last much longer than people would expect. So we I mean, people need to close deals, right? And so people are getting more used to virtual meetings, and also for the normal last round of due diligence and the factory tours, and people are getting used to that. I mean, we did that for some clients that someone hold a camera and working in the factory and take a video tour of the company before they really go to the closing stage of the transaction. So that's, I mean, there's impact, I mean, good or bad, but people are getting used to it, I think. Yeah. Hopefully this will become finish soon, and we can go back to the normal life as before.
Yeah, I think your description was pretty accurate to our own experience, if you will, in this space. With a couple of differences, we also saw a slowdown in the cross-border activity. As you say, a lot of things got started like during the JP Morgan time, if you will, and got launched during then. We had one deal that was supposed to close about that time. It got delayed, but now it closed very recently. I think it was now been weeks ago. Vistagen and Everest Insight, or Ever Insight. Ever Insight is a spin out of Everest, which was funded by CBC or Seabridge Group. So that deal did ultimately go through, even though it took us a little bit longer. But we also track the statistics of what goes on in terms of cross-border activity. And actually this year is up from last year, which was an up year from the year before. So overall, even though our personal experience may be different, Sean, the overall cross-border partnering activity seems to be up this year in spite of COVID-19. So Weiyi and PC, I see you guys made it back. Yeah, hi. Good. So Weiyi, I don't know I know you weren't quite finished, but I'm not quite sure where we lost you. Did you have something to add there at the end?
No, I just wanted to say overall, I mean, we take pretty quick reactions to fight against this virus. And both the scientists from United States and Germany, together with our hub colleagues in China, we have done a good collaboration to join force to fight the virus. This is what's my idea.
Oh, okay. All right. Great. So PC then, obviously Boehringer Ingelheim is one of the many companies at ATLATL, but most of them, as you mentioned earlier, are more early stage companies that you're fostering and you're helping with their innovative development. So what are you seeing in terms of general innovation in China, and have things changed either for the better or for the worse due to COVID-19, and how is ATLATL actually helping foster the innovation there?
In China, there are lots of very much innovative companies. Actually, the quality of the companies can even match the companies in Boston. If we choose you see, but the thing is, the big difference is in China, we are short of the most leading scientists, such as George Church, Bob Boehringer, and meanwhile, we need the top leading investors, such as Nuba, the founder of Flagship. So this is the difference. So I joke with my friends. I say China is very much like a Kung Fu Panda. It has very strong muscle and practice. And Boston, the companies in Boston, is very much Master Yoda, very smart and lead the world in lots of fields, such as CAR-T, CRISPR. But China expand very much faster, learn very much faster. So the cases such as CAR-T, such as CRISPR. So in China, the companies expand very much fast. This is my thought of innovation in China. In terms of the biotech companies during the coronavirus, I'm so proud that ATLATL did a great job during this challenging time. There are lots of companies work on coronavirus. For instance, the first and the second company who developed the antibody drug against the virus was Zhang and another one is MapWell. They are all ATLATL members. One of them licensed the IP to Eli Lilly, and another one raised 2 billion Chinese yuan recently. I remember developed the diagnostic kit in January, and some other companies like Blue Cell, a device company in our campus, provide PPE all around the world. And there are lots of other companies in our center work on the virus, such as vaccine, drug development. So we work closely with them when most labs were closed in China. So I'm very proud of the job done by our members, all our partners, like Boehringer Ingelheim, like Danaher, Metini, Fuxing. They all give us huge support. And from last year, together with the leading CRO companies and the instrument companies, we start to build cloud lab, cloud bar. Based on the cloud lab, the innovators do not need to build their labs at all. Our project directors could do experiments on demand by the on-site CRO and R&D assembly line. During the coronavirus, some companies had to close their lab in UK, in America, but they start to use our biolabs to do research. So I believe our creative cloud biolab will provide an alternative solution for the scientists all around the world. So I think the virus will boost biotech companies in China, boost investments, and will boost more support from central governments on healthcare, not only for China, but for the companies, for the people all around the world. And there will be more and more collaborations between countries to fight against the virus. Like what I mentioned before, the virus actually doesn't separate us, it's united us. And together, all the scientists joined together to fight against the virus. And no matter which country, which company is the first one to develop the solution. But we are all proud of them. This is my thoughts. This is what I get from after the virus. Thank you.
Okay, great. Yeah, I think that's some great insights that there's actually been a stimulation of innovation and investment. And in fact, if we look at our data that we collect on VC investment in China, that so far this year, if this trend continues for the rest of the year, that will be up over 2 times, maybe as much as 3 times in funds raised, new VC funds raised over last year. And of course, last year was a down year for VC funds, but it should make a kind of a full recovery, if you will, back to 2018 levels. And in fact, the amount of money going into the companies is up about 20% over last year. So we're seeing the VC community continue to be very active in terms of life science investment in China. And I wanted to say one thing to our guests who are online watching the panel. If you have any questions, you can go to the chat feature and put your question there, and we'll try and save the last 10 minutes or so to answer any questions that you might have if you do have some. So I'm going to switch topics here a little bit and maybe talk about locations. And I know some of us are biased, like PC and Weiyi and our company are all based in Shanghai, but we also like Suzhou, where Yuwen and Zhang are based. But Don, I'm going to turn this one to you because you've had companies kind of all over China, and I know you've looked at life science parks all over China when you were working with ChinaBio on that national project to look at life science parks. So maybe you can tell us, is there a better place to be if I'm a Western company coming to China and I want to do some novel either drug development or device development? Are there better places to be than others in China?
Yeah, I think currently in China, mostly like Yangtze River Delta, like somewhere near Shanghai, like Suzhou, Hangzhou, Shanghai, and also we call how you call the English name is like basically near Guangzhou, Shenzhen, and Hong Kong. That area, I think, now is best. Normally, you can get a lot of government support, and the business environment is much better than the north. So, I think this currently, I think some small city near Shanghai, I think is good. Also, like Shenzhen, currently I heard is very good, but I recently I didn't do too much research there. But I was in Guangzhou. Seems they have the small park built between China and Singapore government. I think a lot of companies there include Beijing. Also, I think even Lanza have the facility there. Seems pretty good.
Right. Yeah, Lanza has a pretty strong presence, I think, in southern China. So, Yuwen, I mentioned a couple of times, obviously your long-term connection with Suzhou, but now I think you're doing some things in Beijing now as well, correct?
Yeah, indeed.
So why?
Yes.
So tell us why Beijing would be a good place to go.
I think nobody will say that there was only the best place in China in terms of life science. Actually, when we do a selection or decision, like we always think, okay, match. We call it 天时地利人和, right? 天时, nobody has a doubt. But what is 地利? 地利 is like the location, the ecosystem of that place matches with what you want to do and what your clients want to access to the resources, like what are the resources around them are available. So because we are doing really early stage, I borrowed some kind of statistics from Weiyi through the earlier chats we had last year. Is they are like 70% of the early innovation, lab science innovation, are coming from Beijing's the university and research institute from Beijing, and Shanghai maybe 20%, and all the other cities share the other parts. So with that, if we really want to focus on finding that, identifying the technology platform spin-off from the universities or hospitals, then Beijing is the go-to place. Having said that, the ecosystem, the infrastructure of doing the early innovation is not yet there. That's why we kind of doing part of the job which governments are supposed to do. So we help to build the innovation center and provide the service, the information source or liaison all the industry stakeholders to be gathered around those entrepreneurs or professors or PIs or young scientists to see if we can create kind of ecosystem. Comparing Beijing with Shanghai, Shanghai already has everything, and Shanghai is also crowded. If I have money, if I already have a team, then Shanghai is the go-to place. But if you want to build incubator within with proximity with universities or hospitals, which are also like people will strive to come here, then maybe Beijing or Suzhou, people will let's say, okay, let's follow that brand name, let's go to the incubator, not like Shanghai, maybe people have many choices. Having said that, ATLATL is the best incubator, I would admit, in Shanghai, so there is still chance. And talking about the Suzhou, the growth stage companies like pre-IPO stage and the public company in Hong Kong 18A and also the newly Chinese NASDAQ are already it's very crowded there, but still there is not many university or hospitals, so the local community, if you look at that, there is still one circle are missing. So we are trying to connect what we have accessed with the universities and hospitals in Beijing, Shanghai, Wuhan, Hangzhou, even Guangzhou, connect to the one of the best place for the startups, which is Suzhou and Shanghai area, and hopefully we can provide some kind of total solution offer to them. So we just started, so it's too early to say this is the best model or best place or whatever. But these are Beijing, Suzhou, Shanghai are the places I will surely go for sure.
Yeah. Okay. Great. Yeah. That's a great objective perspective, Yuwen. So PC, I think Yuwen said ATLATL is one of the best incubators she's seen in Shanghai, and I would agree. Your facility is amazing. And obviously, you had the experience in Boston, and you brought that to Shanghai. Why Shanghai?
Here I'm thinking in terms of the whole package. You see, to think about the location, not only innovation, but the whole environment, the city, the lifestyle, everything. So Shanghai is a well-established innovation space city for the scientists all around the world. Not only because of the university, hospital, but because of the lifestyle, the well-trained professionals. You see, the multinationals, tons of multinationals have been landing in Shanghai for more than 3 decades, 4 decades, well-trained professionals. So that is key. But you cannot say that Shanghai cover everything. Shanghai is very good for early stage research and development. But if you want to upgrade, if you want to expand for your manufacturer or something, or for GMP, I think the cities around Shanghai area is very good. So that if you want to manufacture something, maybe in other area like Sichuan, like Hubei, all this area might be good. So I cannot say that Shanghai is the best one in China, but in terms of early stage research and development, that is perfect. And Beijing, that is another option because Beijing is not well developed, well established. However, because of this, but there are lots of very good universities, like Yuwen mentioned a moment ago. So there are lots of opportunities, and this year we have planned in Beijing as well. So eventually, at ATLATL will have more than 10. We are going to build more than 100 million square foot space all around China, and we are going to build in UK, back to Boston and Singapore. So we want to link the innovation together, and we want to build the research and development assembly line to help scientists to release their innovation easily. So in that case, if that happens, no matter where you are, you can be in Africa, you can be India, you can be UK, you can sit in front of your computer to introduce your ideas, to design your projects. Our project manager can lead your projects in our center. So everywhere can be better. Everywhere can be a space of innovation. And innovation united innovators. The culture united us together. Hopefully that will happen.
Yeah, I didn't realize you were going so global. That's very interesting. So, Sean, I'm going to throw it to you. We're almost out of time here. We only have 4 minutes left. But I'm going to double up on you, and then I'll have everybody answer the second question I'm going to ask you. But the first question is, I know you're in Chengdu right now, and the Chengdu, the Sichuan area, Chengdu and Chongqing, obviously there is a life science industry there as well. So maybe you can take just a few seconds to talk about that. And then the question I'm going to ask you, and for everyone as our final question, our closing question is, what single piece of advice would you give a Western company who wants to develop novel drugs in China or to address the China market? What single piece of advice would you give them in coming to China? So, Sean, those two questions, you've got about 30 seconds.
Sure. I think there's not, several very famous places that people know: Shanghai, Beijing, Chengdu, and also Wuhan, Shenzhen. I mean, those are among the ones that are best for biotech. But I think, one advice I want to give is, maybe, there are other places that if you are looking for something different, like, capital or others, because I mean, we landed one project actually in Shandong province, and we got very good government money for the project. So in terms of the advice, I think, get prepared for, before you come to China, do more research. And normally we don't advise, mid-cap, biotech companies to come to China by yourself. There are too much things, that, Western people don't know. Yeah. Thank you, Greg.
Yeah, I think that's the perfect one. I think it was the same recommendation we make. Come to China with a partner. It's hard to do it alone. So, yeah. Don, you've got about 20 seconds. Your single piece of advice. Uh-oh. Don is frozen. Yuwen, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here, but I try to think about the advice, but to be honest, I don't, because given the current political uncertainty and also the difficulty of traveling, the cross-border transaction communication and the transaction has been really, really hard. So the only advice is like stay alert, be active, and capture all the opportunity of a conference like this to at least understand the most recent dynamic and what is going on in, let's say, in China, and to see if there is the window open, then you will be the first group of movers. Yeah. Thank you.
Very good point, and that's the reason I'm in San Diego at the moment. So, PC.
Yes.
Your advice.
Yeah, actually, I think this is a kind of experience for all human beings. And we are lucky we survived and we experienced the challenge, which happens every 1,000 years. So we meet with this. We survived. So we should be stronger, and we should have more courage to fight against it. And after decades, I can tell my grandson how I fight against the virus. And I think you will have the same story as well.
Yes, that's great. So Weiyi, you have the last word today.
Yeah, thank you for the opportunity, and Greg. I think I have the same tips as Zhang just mentioned. If you want to come over to China to start up your own company, find your partner first, and hope everyone will get successful.
Yes, and I think Yuwen's point is a good one. Things will open up again, and the cross-border activities will go back to normal. Right now, everything's being done virtual, just like this conference. And with that, I'd like to thank Sachs Forum for organizing this, and to thank our panelists, everyone for joining this evening or this morning or this afternoon, depending on where you are. And thanks for the attendees for joining the panel. So with that, I'll turn it back over to Sachs. Thank you.